Hey everybody, welcome back to the next episode of Shop Talk. So, got a couple subjects on the list here that I'm going to go over for this week's Shop Talk. I've got several topics that have been brought up that I want to go over, and I'm just trying to pick a couple that I can fit in this week that I can talk to you guys about. Today we're going to talk about for one, the blast cabinet. I've had a lot of people ask me about that, so I'm gonna give you a peek at the blast cabinet. We'll talk about that for a minute. And also, I've had a lot of guys ask me about moving machinery. And here recently, I had somebody leave a comment and ask me how would I pick up the Monarch lathe, because he was actually looking at one like mine for sale, a used one. So he had never moved one, and he was asking me the right way to go about doing that. So what I decided to do was, we'll talk about that in this episode. I've got this Monarch lathe manual right here for a Series 61 lathe, and it's got a nice picture in there talking about how to rig it. I've also got this file here that somebody had sent me a PDF file on a manual for my machine, or a lathe just like my machine. So there's a few pictures in that also, and I'll get the camera to where we can look at those pictures, and I'll show you how Monarch suggests picking up their lathes. All right, I've done it a few times. I haven't done it a lot, but whenever we move when we move that machine in here, we actually picked it up with a crane or a boom truck, and set it in the doorway, and then we rolled it back in here to the shop on some skates. So that's what I want to talk about in this episode. Some coming up topics we can go over again is some different steels and metals. People's asking about how to pick different metals. I've had a lot of requests for carbide inserts. I do want to talk about carbide inserts more. I have to do a little bit of homework on my end to try to show you guys the info that needs to be put out there for the carbide inserts. I have a few that I can just shout out on the top of my head, because I'm familiar with those, but I'm not familiar with all of them. So I really need to read up on some so that we can go over this together, and I can show you a couple places you can go and you can check out some info on your end for carbide inserts whenever you have a question about those. So we'll go over those in a future episode. How to read different micrometers and measuring tools. I've had a lot of requests for that. One that I really want to try to go over well pretty soon is telescope gauges. I have a particular way that I like to use a telescope gauge. And in my opinion, a telescope gauge can be very accurate. It can be deadly accurate if you know how to properly use it and how to properly read a micrometer with a telescope gauge. That's what I've been doing for 19 years now. And as long as you do it correctly, it won't steer you wrong. So we're going to go over that in a future episode, hopefully pretty soon. And then when I was showing you the air compressor last week, I had a lot of guys ask about the drill presses outside. So we'll go over the drill presses again. That was stuff that I've talked about in old episodes. We've been doing this for 3.5 years now. So we've got a lot of new people on board that don't know about all the equipment around here. So we'll slowly go back over everything. All right. And then one more thing, I keep having people ask me about the Scotch-Brite wheel that I put on the Miller's Falls grinder down there. That is shown in a SNS not too far back if you want to research it on my channel, but that particular wheel is a Scotch-Brite wheel. The material is silicon carbide, and it's a medium grit, and it's a 6x1 wheel. So I'm going to have a link from Amazon for that particular wheel in this video description that you can click on. It'll take you right to it. I want to say it's $42, $42.21 on Amazon. Probably pay a couple bucks for shipping to get it here, and it's not bad at all. It's a good wheel to put on your grinder. All right, so I'm gonna move the camera so that you can see these pictures. We'll go over the manuals first, then we'll go down to the machines and talk about them. All right, we'll show this one first. This is for the Monarch Series 61 lathes. It's another really fine line of Monarch lathes there. We'll get right to this page. And there's the picture that I wanted you to see. So whenever you want to lift a lathe and rig it, this is the proper way to do it right here. What you want to do is you want to put some boards underneath the bedways. You want to put 2 boards over there that extend out a good ways past the machine. And then you're going to use some slings, and in their case, it looks like they're using rope, but in this day and age, you'll use some nylon slings. And you want to sling it from the boards that are sticking out each side of the machine. But what you have to do, you have to be really careful that you don't damage the machine by pulling up against your feed rod, your lead screw, or your ways up here, you know. And then sometimes there's another, you have your clutch rod right there also. So you need to have boards that's up against your ways, and also I like to put them up inside here that fit in between your lead screw and your feed rod, like say a 4x4 block or something that will fit in there, that whenever tension is pulled on the sling or the rope, that it's pushing against the side of the bedways and it's clearing it from hitting your screws and your feed rods. So that's the only picture in this book that shows that, but hopefully you can see that's generally how you do it. You just lift it and you want to balance it. So you pick it up in that one central location, you know, a couple boards there kind of spread out a little bit, and then you get it balanced. And that's all there is to it. And don't forget, if you're going to pick something like this up, you know, quite high with a crane or something, tie you a rope on either end of the machine. We like to call those monkey tails, and stand away from the machine and use the rope to help guide the machine and steer it the way you want to. All right, so there's that picture. Let's go ahead and look in this other manual real quick for the older model like mine. Mine's a CY, and this is probably going to blow out the video a little bit because of all the white. Let me see if I can help by moving that one right there. So let me just take this page out. So again, now this is pretty cool because it shows all the different series of lathes. There's your 10EE, and here's let's see, here's one like mine right here. K, CK, C, a CY, and a CU. And then you have the AA, the W, and the BB models. And then right up here you have the M and N, and then the NN. That big lathe that we used to have at my old shop was a Model N. It was a 22N, and it looked like this, except it had 144-inch centers on it. But you can see on every one of these pictures, they're picking it up from that area of the bedway, just kind of beyond the headstock, and that's to balance the machine. This is a pretty good shot right here showing the board on the bottom, and then you have blocks on the top by the ways that's keeping the slings from coming up and hitting any of your feed rod or your lead screw. And that's typical on every machine. There's a good shot of the wood block right there, and the same way on the big boy right here. What's really cool in this manual is that it gives you instructions whenever you was to buy this from the factory, which would be, I only wish we could do that these days. It tells you which boards to remove from the crates to use for all this rigging. That's pretty neat. So make certain that load is on balance before lifting. So there's you some ideas on how to pick up a machine. That's the common way to do it right there. And I would say that Monarch says to pick their lathe up that way. I wouldn't be scared to do it. That's how we picked it up whenever we moved mine down here. All right, so just trying to take a closer look at what we're discussing here about lifting. Please never mind the mess. I know I need to clean out my chip pan. I just haven't got around to it yet. So on this particular machine, when you want to go to pick it up, you're going to have a board that's running across the bottom of the bedways right here. It'll come out, and then your slings will be out here picking up on that board, and then you just block it with other blocks coming out so that your slings does not pull against any of your feed rods or your lead screw or anything like that. And I believe you put one on the back side over here also so that your sling is not pulling up against the ways right there. And then you're going to pick it up right about here and get it adjusted until it's balanced. So I hope that a little bit of info helps somebody out there in the future when moving these machines. They are very heavy. I think this is about 8,000 pounds worth of iron right here. So while we're back here, we'll go ahead and move over to the blast cabinet and talk about it real quick. Just so you know, those are just some train horns that are just sitting there. I bought for my truck years ago and I never did anything with them. They do work. I blew them on a episode of SNS a long time ago and they sound good. So both of these right here is the blast cabinet. You can see there's the name of it. It's a Trinco model DP850. And what this is right here, this is the actual filter unit, and it's also the motor. There's the motor up top. That's what sucks everything through. You've got a bunch of filter bags inside there that help separate the bad stuff from the good media, and it recycles it. And I know you probably can't see back there, but there's the other part of the back side of the unit, and the hopper, which is where all the good media gets filtered through over here, and it falls down and it's going to end up back there on the very bottom. That's where it's pulled through to the actual blast cabinet. Now right now I'm actually having a problem with it. I've been back here working, and I think it's because the media has gotten hard down inside the hopper there, and it's not falling through. I can't get any media to come out. So this is a real tight fit through here, and y'all know how big I am. I have a hard time getting back here, so I'm waiting on my brother to come over here and help me, and we need to take this apart and dump everything out of the hopper at the very bottom and make sure that it's not sticking in there, and then refill it. So I just need Kevin to come over here and give me a hand with that. So that's what that unit is back there. That's just the you know, the filter unit. It's just a two-piece unit that sits side by side. It's got the hoses that hook to it and the electrical system. It's a pretty good sized blast cabinet. I don't remember what the dimension is, but you know, you can put quite a bit of stuff in there. This is some pots for my neighbor that he asked me to blast for him a while back, and I haven't been able to get to him because the thing ain't working right. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about in this episode. I think I covered what I said I was going to, and hopefully next week I'll have some time and we can cover some more of them topics. I really want to try to get to some of those micrometers and show the guys that's been asking how to read those and help them out a little bit too. So, oh, another note, I did get a belt sander. We got the belt sander that I was talking about, not the Rockwell. We got a Wilton belt sander, and I just unloaded that today and brought it in the shop, but we're going to wait for SNS to see that footage. So that's something to look forward to for SNS. And then also one more thing, this will be another subject in this week's SNS, another tool from Edge Technology, the tailstock alignment bar, and I'll show you how we use that over here. So, all right guys, we'll see you on the next episode.